Hi everybody, me again. Snowing outside, April. Snowing in April. Oh well. Anyway, I've had a little bit of a workout. My garage, I'm in the garage again. Just move this over a bit. Here we go. A bit drafty around the back of my neck there. Anyway. Aikido. There's a lot of misunderstanding about Aikido. A lot of misleading information as well. So I'm going to try and put that right, because I've studied Aikido and hold a dang grade in Aikido. Well, it used to be Aikido. That's traditional Aikido. Not any breakaways. There's nothing wrong with breakaways, because breaking away from something means you are trying something new and sometimes perfecting that what was founded and created. No problem with that. But always respect the fact that without the tradition, the modern wouldn't happen. Otherwise we wouldn't have the telephone, the aeroplane and everything else, like the technology we're using today. So, Aikido. To me, Aikido is about harmony between two people. Not opponents, but partners. Very similar like ballroom dancing. Now, it's not dancing, alright, but it's on the same level. It's the same understanding, because one is making harmony with the other, like they do in ballroom dancing. Which brings me to the point of status, martial arts, martial sports, martial ways. Everybody says martial art when sometimes it's martial sport, and sometimes it's martial sport, and sometimes it's not martial sport, it's martial art. So we're going to call it one umbrella. We're going to call it martial ways. The ways of martial arts. Because there is martial sports and there is martial art. So martial ways is an umbrella. Just like the word dancing is an umbrella. I'm a dancer. What kind of a dancer? Ballroom dancer? Tap dancer? Sand dancing? Ballet dancing? Rock and roll. I used to be a good rock and roll dancer. Jiving we call it. So it's all dancing but different styles. You have to forgive me, but I've had an injection in my mouth today. Had a tooth sorted out, and the injection is still playing around in my mouth. So anyway, music is the same thing. You got your string music, you got your wind music, you got your drums, all under one umbrella called music. You've got martial ways, dancing, music, all different styles. How can you compare? Let's look at the umbrella of dancing, shall we? How can you compare a ballet dancer with a ballroom dancer? Well, you can't really, because they've got both different styles, both different ways. How can you compare a piano with a saxophone? Well, you can't really, because one is tapping and one is blowing, but they're all music. So Aikido is exactly the same level as is karate and kung fu and taekwondo and Tai Chi, they're all martial ways but different styles. That's when it annoyed me when you turn around and say, oh, I do a better style than you. Not a rubbish. You do a different style. MMA is another example. Mixed martial arts, but it's not mixed martial arts. It's mixed martial sports. So it shouldn't be called MMA, it should be called MMS. But that sounds like some kind of disease, medical disease. So MMA is slotted in there somehow and stuck to it. But if you look deeply, it's not. You never get a Tai Chi man or an Aikido man going into their MMA fight, unless of course they do the other styles. I do Aikido, I do Tai Chi, I do kickboxing, I do boxing, I do jiu-jitsu, I do judo, or have done. But I come under the umbrella of martial ways. Some are sport, some are art. And some self-defence stuff that I do got nothing to do with martial ways. It's boxing, Western boxing. So Aikido. Aikido is similar to anything that relates to harmony. Aikido may have been taught by somebody or founded by somebody called Mori Usui, who's supposed to have studied Aikido Jiu-Jitsu. But from the Aikido Jiu-Jitsu he found Aikido. Some people call Aikido Aikido Jiu-Jitsu. I know my foundation, Spirit Combat, was founded on Aikido, Jiu-Jitsu, boxing, karate, Tai Chi, wrestling, judo, mixed. So Spirit Combat is really an MMA, but a mixed martial art. It's not a mixed martial sport. Understand that? Are we getting there? So there are different ways that you can practice the martial ways. And Aikido is very similar to dancing, ballroom dancing, harmony. So how can you use Aikido against an attacker? All depends how you're attacked. If someone grabbed me by the jacket, I could go into an Aikido move and restrain them. Not knock them out, or kick them or punch them. On the other hand, if he grabbed me, I could put a punch in first and a kick in front, and a kick in which would support my Aikido technique. And then another attacker would be an attacker that actually comes to you and loses balance. Then your Aikido movement and harmony practice might come in handy. In other words, don't be there. The best block in the world is don't be there, and Aikido does that. Not to be there, to be hit. So harmony is very, very important. But a lot of people don't understand the harmony of side. Now, I haven't got a partner here at the moment, but I have shown you on a couple of my lessons, I think it was with Ashley, that if somebody attacked you and that person wasn't there, you have to come out and follow him. That's what happens in self-defence. Bang, 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 bang. And it's a follow-up of attacks, different attacks. Rigid. Very difficult to use an Aikido technique. But on the other hand, it's quite easy to do an Aikido technique if someone's talking to you and grabs you around the neck or goes towards you and goes against you. It's like pushing a door and then somebody opens it and you go through. That's a simple way of explaining what Aikido is. So the lack of understanding in Aikido is very, very difficult. But if an attacker was attacking in a harmonious way and went with the person, then sometimes if the attack comes and the Aikido man turns and that is still there, if he didn't make harmony, the Aikido man could do a break or do some injury. So in reality, the attacker, when they attack in Aikido, they attack knowing that they've got to make harmony, otherwise they could have a broken limb. That's the theory. And sometimes it works. I've made it work in some cases in spirit combat. So Aikido is a wonderful way of harmony. It's also a wonderful way of self-defense in certain situations, not in all situations, and that goes with karate, kung fu, boxing or anything else. It all depends how you are attacked. Off balance, what does that mean? Well, it means you're striking someone and he's not there and you lose your balance. But sometimes you get back on your balance again, so you're off again. So you attack, you're off balance, you get back on balance again and you attack again. And two people doing that, it becomes a bit of a rough and tumble. So how do you practice Aikido in reality? Very difficult. If I threw a punch, an Aikido man might want to take that away and do something with it. If I threw a punch and fetched it back, I can't see any Aikido man grabbing that. And I'm going to him, he's got to move. So it becomes very boxing. So I try to put my Aikido into a bit of reality where you can block and in. But then when you go in, that is the most difficult, because when you go in, the person you're going into is not making harmony. He's resisting. So when you look at an Aikido person flying around, it's not the person that's doing all the throwing, that's doing all the work. It's the person that's being thrown. You look at Steve Seagal. Now, I'm not really keen on him as an actor or an Aikidoist. I've never seen him really do Aikido, except in a few scenes on film. And most of it is the same techniques. You're seeing people flying around, but they're flying around. They're not being thrown around, they're throwing themselves around because they're acting. Entertainment, just like breaking techniques. So, Aikido has its limitations, as does karate, kung fu, kickboxing, boxing, jiu-jitsu. I would say that Aikido is more of a restraining skill, where you move from attack and restrain the person. But sometimes the person doesn't want to be restrained. He resists. And if there's two of them against you, then you've got problems. But my Aikido, the one I teach, is don't be there. Do what you can. If you can't do what you can, then you might have to turn to another martial way. So by learning how to use your Aikido move, which is very, very good indeed, you could then shove a punch in and a kick in during your movement. So your Aikido and your jabbing and your boxing and your kicking and your bobbing and your weaving all comes together in a real sweet situation, if you've got the room. If you're cornered and you haven't got a lot of room, then how can the Aikido man move about if there's no room to move about? Then you've got to change your martial way to something that suits the situation. So Aikido, karate, kung fu, any of the styles including boxing, has got its advantages and has got its disadvantages. In most cases, when I do my promoting and advertising, I do some Aikido, and people that don't understand martial arts think that, cool, that looks good, I like that, and it attracts people and they become members, and I win over a few students. But when I win them over, I catch them first, then I educate them. So Aikido sometimes is a little demonstration to draw people in. Same thing with karate, boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, judo. It's a little bit of entertainment just to show the people who are looking on, this is what it's all about, this is what you could be like one day. They come and join because they want to be like that, but then of course you have to then have the ability to teach them what you see was good, but in some cases it wasn't reality. I was feeding you information to draw you in as a magnet, draw you in to interest. Now I've got you in, now I can actually explain to you what the situation is, because I couldn't do it without you being here. So all martial art demonstrations is all about attracting people in. We all know that. Once they're in, you've got to educate them. But when you educate them, maybe they don't like what they got, what they are listening to or what they're hearing. And that's when you've got to say to them, I am telling you what you need to know, not what you want to know. And that's when people don't like it. Now there's people out there saying, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about, you don't know what you're talking about. I said, but I do. I know I do. And they know I do. If you're a martial art instructor and you're wanting members and students, you go out your way to find ways and means of attracting people to your style, your way of teaching. Once you've got them in, you can either tell them the truth or con them. You can allow them to believe what you want them to believe, but guide them correctly. And that's the difference between a good instructor and a bad instructor. Because a bad instructor will only pull the wool over your eyes, blindfold you and say, this is what's happening. But if you open your eyes, then you'll see the real thing. So, Aikido is a fantastic martial way. So I hope you've got any misunderstandings now in your mind. Aikido is good only in certain situations. Bye bye.